If I needed energy, I would do coke.
What did he say?
If I needed to be happy, I would take Molly. If I needed answers, I would take acid. If I needed to numb myself, I would drink.
Yo, what's up? It's your boy Trap Poker. I'm here taking over Before the Cuts podcast.
Episode's gonna be lit, y'all. Talks through all his crazy drug, alcoholic stories. Take a look at the episode. Let's go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode. We back in this. We got a special guest. He's a recovering drug addict, alcoholic, and bro, he just turned his life around, and in the process of it, doing great things in the poker community with himself, with his family. And I'm super interested to hear your story.
And he's doing all this in the city of temptation.
Josh, aka Trap Poker, in the house.
Mr. Trap Poker.
Bro, we can do this again. Can we clap for my man, bro?
Let's talk about your story a little bit to basically lead up to this. So talk us through a little bit, as a recovering addict now, when did this all start?
That's a pretty tricky question because I think that it started in my childhood, actually.
Okay.
So I actually didn't really start drinking until I was like after 20, like around 20.
When was the first time you had a drink?
13.
Like
Okay, cool.
purposely? Or like...
Yeah, me and my friends, we stole a bottle at a Save Mart and then... yeah, so,
That's awesome.
So like, that's the thing is that I didn't really like it. You know, I was more of a smoker and that's why it's a tricky question because I didn't really build alcoholism till later on.
So you were one of those high school, you were part of the pothead group.
I was more of the
Yeah.
pothead
When you start
group,
smoking weed?
About 13.
And
Okay.
Just through friends?
Yeah, a friend introduced me to it, and it was weird because like he introduced me to it, and then afterwards he didn't really want to smoke afterwards. So like I was kind of confused. Like he introduced me to it, and for him it was like just like a one-time thing, like every now and then. But I just like fell in love with it that I wanted to do it like all the time. Yeah,
so that obviously became habit forming.
So I was gonna say, so that was that you feel looking back at it, was that your first? I guess like feeling.
Was that the gateway?
Like feeling of addiction?
Yeah, definitely. I feel like that was the start of it, and it was like the way that I was searching for that dopamine release in my brain was like the way that I built up this addiction.
Got it.
So do you know, people like to throw around like, you know, at school and you know, adults when you're younger, you know, the term gateway. Do you think that was actually like that really opened the door for, you know, this curiosity of substances?
I think most definitely. At the time, they always told me it's a gateway drug, and I'm like, I'm never gonna do crack. I'm never gonna do anything else. Like, I'm not gonna do any. I'm not gonna stick a needle in my arm. Like, I'm just a smoker, and that's all I do.
Yeah.
And it's healthy for you. It comes from the earth, and like, you know, there's nothing wrong with just getting a little high, falling asleep, and eating everything out of the fridge. So I mean, like, there's nothing wrong with that, right?
Yeah.
But I think where it became a problem was that's all I did. You know, I quit
like,
sports.
Like took over your life.
Pretty much. Like it just killed all my ambitions.
At what point do you become aware of, you know, hey, I'm doing this a lot. I like this. I'm stopping sports to do this, or like, I guess, when does that click for you that like, oh, this is not just something that I enjoy doing, you know, at night?
It didn't really click until recently. Like I'm 17 months sober now, and
Hey,
shout out to you, bro.
This is like the longest I've ever been sober since I started this addiction. And I think I had like moments where like I was like, you know, this might be a problem, but I just kind of justified it, and I kind of like was in straight denial, and I just lived in the illusion.
Yeah. So smoking weed through high school, you said you didn't start drinking until you're what, like 20?
Yeah, that's when I started like drinking more heavily. Like I started going to parties and drinking more often, like weekends and
Got it. So I'm gonna be honest, college, I was like, you know, doing all that stuff, especially the alcohol, drinking all the damn time. You know, that's what a lot of people think is just part of their 20s, right? So, you know, you obviously were doing this, you're almost 21, quote unquote, you know, finally like that legal age. How long were you drinking before like things really escalated?
It just became where like I would overdo it and like I would drink and drive and you know, I would crash my car.
Oh shit.
And I actually crashed my car with a couple friends in it, and I think we hit like a brick wall, probably like at 40 miles an hour.
Holy shit.
And luckily they didn't die. And for me, like in the moment, I was so drunk that all I cared about was what happened to my car. I didn't care about my friends.
Wow.
I was just, when I woke up, like I was in my boxers at my friend's house, and I was like laughing. And I was like, dude, why am I in my boxers? And he's like, just like, he had this different vibe to him. And I was like, what's wrong? And I was like, you know what? Where's my car? And he's like, it's gone. And I'm like, what happened? And he's like, dude, you got fucking drunk as fuck last night. And I was like, oh, fuck. Like, what happened, you know?
Yeah.
And it was always like, you know, blacking out. And then people telling me, like, this is what you did. Sometimes it'd be, like, funny. And other times it'd be like, damn, I kind of regret that, you know? So it was a lot of like, you know, rock bottoms for me to realize that this is a problem and it's always going to be a problem. Yeah. Also, the thing is that when that happened, I felt a lot of guilt, and that made me drink more.
I was, yeah.
Really?
I was just going to say, I feel when something like that happens, you go one of two ways. Like, you like literally just stop everything like cold turkey, or I feel, you know, like the guilt, and almost leads to depression, and then it actually, you know, leads to, you know, more drinking, more consumption.
During, you know, okay, in that incident, right? Are your friends like, has anybody ever went up to you and been like, hey bro, like, you know, what's going on?
Yeah, people like, you mean like, were they curious about me? Like,
yeah, like they would ever pull you to the side and be like, I think what you're doing is a little bit more than just having fun.
Yeah.
Not really, but I remember that night, my friend was telling me like, hey, you can't drive. Like, you need to just stay the night here. And they were trying to take my keys, and like, I was trying to fight them. And like, I was like, I just became like very aggressive when I got drunk. And it was just like, you really couldn't talk through me. Like, it was like really hard to talk through me. And that's what made it really difficult.
Yeah. So okay, that was obviously, you know, a big, you know moment, I think, you know, for being in your 20s. What happened after that? So you just said you obviously, it led you to drink more. Is there anything after, like, so what was the next big thing that happened? I guess that's what I'm getting at.
So the next big thing was that I started drinking more, and then I started experimenting with drugs. I started doing like MDMA, experimented with acid and like Molly. Those were like one of my favorite things to do. Like, it was just the first time I did acid, it was just like, I wanted to do it every day. And then my plug, he told me that you can't do it every day. Like, your brain has to reset and recharge. Like, you have to wait at least a week or longer than that.
Yeah.
And so that kind of made me feel like I wasn't really there wasn't really a way to get addicted.
Yeah.
Because there was like a time frame that you had to wait.
Yeah.
So I was like,
were you still doing it every week though?
I was doing it like maybe like every other 2 days. You know, sometimes like in a month I was probably doing it like maybe like 10 times or so.
Jesus.
It's a lot. I don't know about LSD, but that sounds like a lot of dosages. And then during that time, were you doing other stuff? Like, were you drinking, doing coke, and during like those in betweens?
There was times where I would mix like alcohol with acid. I remember the first time like I did that, and it was a really interesting effect, like combining it, you know. I started doing shrooms as well, and also combining alcohol with it. Like, I would wash it down with alcohol, and it would create like this like really wavy effect on the body. And like, that's kind of like those sensations. I don't know, it was something like I didn't feel good with myself, and being sober, like I just felt so shitty, and I didn't like how my life was going. And this was a way for me to like kind of like avoid like life.
Yeah. So you bring up a really good point here, and this is where I'm curious. I actually come from a family. My great grandpa, or my grandpa actually, he was an alcoholic. I died of alcoholism. My dad is a drug alcohol addict. I from what I understand, he's the, you know, now sober, or at least trying to stay sober. you know, I grew up around this. I, you know, had family members that were, I called them like functioning, you know, drug and alcohol addicts. One thing I'm curious about, where were you working? How did it affect, you know, your quote unquote career life?
At the time, I was like living with a girl, like an ex-girlfriend, and then I moved out back to my mom's house, and I was actually kind of like couch surfing a lot, like sleeping over at a lot of friends' house, like partying and like going back and forth. Also, I was going job to job. I couldn't keep a job because I was always super drunk, showing up late.
Yeah.
Like this was just like a consistent pattern that I was not seeing, and I was just like in the delusion. I remember one time I lost a job, and then the first thing I thought, well, I think I got to take acid to figure out what's the next thing I got to do. Like,
Yeah.
because for me, like acid was like a way for me to like gain this like.
So drugs were almost a solution, you know?
Definitely.
Yeah, got it.
If if you hit a bump in the road, that's when you would self-soothe? Was it triggers or?
I mean, it was like a little bit of both. Like, it was mostly like, I'm just trying to have fun, but also there's times where like I feel like shit, so I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
Like regardless, you know. So it was a little bit of both. You know how they say like when you do psychedelics, you want to be in a good setting, you want to be in a good mood. You don't want to do it like when you're, you know, like someone just passed away. You don't want to, because then you're gonna be thinking about that the whole time. So, but for me, it was like a little like I had like every drug was like a form of a synthetic emotion. Like if I needed energy, I would do coke. If I needed to numb myself from pain from like, you know, family or something, I would drink. If I needed to be happy, I would take Molly. If I needed answers, I would take acid. And it was just like a constant, like these were like, because I didn't really like understand my own emotions, and they were like very clouded at the time. And I didn't really want to dig deep because it was just like very painful to like really admit like and really dig into like the guilt and the shame that I had, and like just like accepting the truth was just like one of the most painful things.
So during all this, you know, you said you have, you know, drug of choice for basically each thing you were looking for in your life. How many, you mentioned that, you know, you had multiple jobs that, you know, you were working, fired from, et cetera. When you're living this type of lifestyle, how many jobs did you have? Did you get fired from a lot? Like any ones that stick out, you know, you know, wild stories or?
Most of the time, there's this one, I was working at a Mexican restaurant. I was an expediter, and I had taken acid the night before, and you know, keep in mind acid lasts for like 12 hours or so, and I took it at around like 8 p.m. I showed up late, and they just got tired of me like showing up late, and so they just ended up firing me. But for some reason, it was really easy for me to get jobs. Like I can go walk into the next restaurant and like present myself as like someone that was not an addict. I can easily like present myself and like hide the fact that I used to think of myself as a high functioning addict, and I could, you know, if I need the money to get my drugs, so if I don't get the money, then I won't get my drugs. So I had a lot of motivation to get jobs and also try to keep them as long as possible.
Do you subscribe to that there is such thing as high functioning or not?
I don't really believe in that because there's only like a certain point where it just becomes overwhelming and it becomes unmanageable. Because even when I thought that, oh, well, I just lost this job, I'll just get another job, and then I'll just lose that job, and then I'll get another job. And that wasn't really a way of living, you know, like eventually jobs will say like, why do you go from job to job? And they don't want to hire you because your resume is like so gapped that they're just going to, they can tell that something's wrong with you, you know, based off that.
How many jobs did you have over like the, you know, course of like your early 20s, you think?
I probably had like 10. Like doing my W-2s was a bitch because I had to fucking I had to like trace back, and plus my memory was all fucked up. So I was like, I worked at this restaurant for like 2 months, and then I didn't work for 2 months, and then I got a job at Target for like about a month, and then after that, you know, I worked. So my W-2s were like really fucking annoying to do because I had like so many jobs. Every year I had probably like anywhere from like 7 to 10.
Dude, that's crazy.
Wow.
Okay, so this was all when you were in Fresno. Is that right? Okay, cool. So Fresno doing your thing, obviously all over the place, multiple jobs, drugs, alcohol, etc. What was the turning point that made you get out of Fresno?
So the whole plan was that I enrolled into a dealer course when I was about 19, and I was waiting until I turned 21 so I can apply to become a dealer at a casino. So from 19 to 21, that was pretty much like my fuck around time. Like,
Got it.
I wanted to party as much as possible before I settled in, because at the casino, like, you get drug tested randomly. So that was kind of like my way of like, well, in the meantime, I'll just do these shitty ass like fast food jobs and like, you know, just party and do whatever I want. And then, but when I turned 21, it's time to get serious. But when I turned 21, it was really hard to turn off. Like that, I had built such a habit that even though I was getting drug tested randomly, I would use like synthetic urine to fake my drug test. Like I would strap it on my leg, and I would fake these drug tests. And
Damn.
I can stop for like, you know, maybe a period of time and be like, okay, well, no more coke, no more acid for a bit. It was weird because I would stop smoking weed because it lasts in your system for so long, but I would do coke every day and like Molly, and people would be like, I don't understand why you don't smoke weed, but you do all these other hard drugs.
Yeah.
And be like, well, it gets out of your system in like 2 days. So it's fine for me.
Yeah.
And so the turning point was when I lost my job that I had waited for and worked for like so long to get as a dealer at this casino that I was trying to get for so long. I ended up losing it, and I was like, I felt like it was the end of the world for me.
Yeah.
And I honestly was very suicidal, and I wanted to just end my life because they passed on the information to other casinos why I had lost my job, so I couldn't get hired in Fresno anymore.
Oh,
so
wow.
I had to.
This was the when you showed up there drunk, right?
Yeah, so I had showed up drunk, and then so they had fired me. So that's when I was like, well, I gotta apply out of the state or somewhere else, like Southern California, NorCal or something, to get a job where maybe they might not have the contact.
Yeah.
And that's how I got an audition over at the Sahara. At the time, they were the SLS.
Yep.
And during this period, I was like still doing drugs and drinking a little bit, but I was still like not enjoying it as much because every time I drank, I just like sulked.
Yeah.
And I was just very depressed. Sulked.
What's that?
I don't know. I don't even know what it means, but it's just like
Yeah.
this, like,
Sulked? Like
sulked, like very depressed.
Yeah,
Oh,
you're just
okay,
like
okay.
sad, down, like
Oh, I
down,
see.
like
Okay,
down
okay.
and out. Yeah.
So when I had moved out here, so I auditioned, I came out here and I auditioned at the casino. They told me immediately, you're going to get hired. And I was like, cool. They're like, you're going to get drug tested in a week. And I was like, cool. I won't smoke. I won't do coke. Like, I don't want to lose this job anymore. Like, I'm done with drugs, and I'm just going to chill out for a minute. And that was my plan. So when I had moved out here to Vegas, I was also cutting ties from all the other friends that I used to party with. And I wanted to start new. I was like, this is a fresh start. It's time to get serious. Like, you know, I'm 22 now. Can't be fucking up my life. And slowly and gradually, I started drinking again. And I wasn't doing coke anymore. I was just smoking. But then, like, all the other addictions that I had quit just went towards alcohol. Like, it was just like, I don't know how to explain it.
It just it just went
Yeah.
and fueled itself into alcohol.
And that's when my alcoholism got extremely bad. That's when I was blacking out, getting into fights on the strip. I got banned at the Venetian for like, I don't even know, like about a year because I got really drunk. I don't even remember what happened that night. Wow. I just remember like going there really drunk and I was playing cards, and then just like that, I don't remember anything. Like I just woke up the next day in a psych ward and I was like, what the fuck is going on?
Oh my God.
And like,
damn, bro. So go ahead. No, so okay, so when you got here, you know, you got the job. Is there, you know, when they tell you you're gonna get hired, like I'm sure there's a lot of positive emotions, right?
yeah, so basically I was just really excited for a second chance because I had thought like I was really like I quit life and I wanted to kill myself, and so this was like a new chance to like redeem myself and really be like really quit drugs. And I was really serious. Like I really was like no more like drugs anymore, like, and I was like sober for like 6 months or so before I started drinking again.
Yeah.
I never really thought drinking was the problem. I thought like the cocaine and like the other stuff was more of a problem. But
Probably because of the legality of it, right? Like you're like, oh, I can go
because it was just like, it's Sin City. It's like you're allowed to drink 24/7. You can drink during the day. Like, you know, back in Cali, like bars close at 2, but here it's like 24/7. So,
Yeah.
I mean, I would get off work and then just like grab a case of beers or a tall can, and I would be like try to moderate it, and I would just drink a beer like after work, my days off. But something about when alcohol hits my system, it's just like that no fucks given. Just I don't care about anything anymore. I don't care about my job and my goals. It's just like, let's get fucked up and then let's see what happens from there.
You said you're 27.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I'm just trying to think about the time frame here. So you've been sober for what, 17 months? Got it. So you probably started to get sober when you're what, 25 or so? 25 going on
About
26?
25, yeah.
Okay. And when how old were you when you moved to Vegas?
23.
23, got you. So you
2
went.
years, wow.
So I was gonna say, so you being this addict and moving to a place like Vegas, man, like you were just like you just opened a can of worms.
I really did.
Like you literally opened a can of worms, bro. Like,
but in your mind, was it? I guess because there's other states where you can gamble, right? I mean, just proximity is closer.
But there's nothing like Vegas.
No, for sure. But like for you, was it really the, I guess looking back, was it really like, oh, maybe the casinos don't talk to each other, or you're like, oh, I can get fucked up over here all the time?
I really wanted to start new. Like I really wanted to cut my friends out and really see like, is it me or is it my friends? Like I really had no idea. Like I really didn't. Or is it me, my friends, or is it the alcohol?
Yeah.
Like I had to figure it out, and I'm thankful that I had moved to Vegas, because otherwise, if I was still in Fresno, I feel like I would still be in that gray area of whether like, am I an alcoholic or am I just having fun?
Yeah,
like,
just doing it because that's what other people around you do.
But Vegas was really like, I opened up that can of worms and I really went all out, because when they pour you shots, dude, they're like fat as fuck, and like I would drink cups of fucking Patron, I would drink cups of like whiskey, AMFs, like, and it just got really out of hand really quickly. Yeah.
So for time purposes, I'm curious. So during that 2 years that you were living, probably 2.5 years, you were living in Vegas when you first moved here. How long did you last at SLS/Sahara?
I was actually pretty good. I was actually like on my best behavior, and I remember telling myself like, you're not gonna show up like wasted anymore. Like you're just gonna like I would tell myself like I would only have max 2 shots before work. That's it. Yeah. Just 1-2 shots max, and then at worst 3.
Yeah.
So like
you're like 2 to 3 before work, and the other 10 can be when I get off.
Yes, I would like and I would go into like my roommate's like stash, and I would like they won't notice, and like I would just like pour up a shot. I would take one, and I'd be like, okay, this is just for the nerves, because like everyone's drunk there. They want me to be exciting. They want me to entertain them. I got to be a little like loose, like that was my excuse. Like it was like so I was actually pretty good, but I remember there was times where managers would kind of like eye me and be like, talking like between each other and be like, I think he's high, like he's high and drunk or something, because his eyes are blasted, like he's smiling for no reason, like, you know.
Okay, so
how long were you at SLS for?
Yeah, that's what
I was only there for 3 months, but I didn't get fired. The money wasn't that good, and I had got another opportunity at Treasure Island, and so I moved over there and started working there for a minute.
Okay.
And
How was it there? Because I'm sure it's a different environment, different co-workers and shit like that.
it was chill. Like, I actually was really against like building like friends, because I was like,
Really?
yeah, I was like not really trying to like build bonds anymore. I felt like I was just really like trying to like isolate myself and kind of just keep my head straight. But at Treasure Island, I was actually doing pretty good. I wasn't drinking too much like on the job, because they seem to be a little bit more stricter there.
Yeah.
So I just kind of like backed down a little bit. I was just smoking, and it wasn't until I had moved over to the Link where that's kind of where I started drinking a lot more, because I had I got some coworkers there that they would invite me to drink after work, and so literally I would clock out in my uniform and then just hit the bar right there, and I would drink at the Catalyst bar from like 4 a.m. to like 8 in the morning, and this became almost a daily thing.
Oh wow.
And it wasn't really like, I mean, I would drive drunk home like all the time or whatever, but it was like just a straight shot, and like I was trying to moderate it. So like,
Yeah.
I did pretty well, I guess, in the sense that I wasn't getting into any trouble. I wasn't starting fights at work and whatever. But like it just kept getting a little bit worse. Like, so like once I started the Link, that's like when I started drinking a lot more, because they have O'Shea's there too as well. And so like they got the fucking like beer pong and like.
Yep.
And also, I'm curious, as this is happening, like you're working there, are you conscious? You're like, oh fuck, like I'm going back.
No.
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm thinking like everything's all good. Like, you know, I'm chilling. You know, as long as I just don't like mix pills, and like, you know, as long as I just drink and smoke, like everything's gonna be fine.
Yep.
Like weed's legal, alcohol's legal. I'm doing everything's like I'm doing fine.
Yeah.
You know.
The thing is, I think, you know, especially living here in Vegas, what you said, like, you know, getting off work, having some drinks, like it's such a regular thing here. And I think, you know, I have handfuls of friends who work, you know, nightlife. And, you know, a lot of people in nightlife, they all hang out together. They all go party on, you know, their Tuesdays and Wednesdays, industry nights, whatever, because a lot of them are, you know, working, you know, the busy nights, you know, Thursday through Sundays, et cetera. But it's just such the lifestyle here. So I could imagine like you being like an addict and kind of knowing that you used to be on all this stuff, and now you're here and you're only drinking and you're only smoking. It's probably just like it's really a mind game.
Yeah, I start to feel like it's normal, and like I'm like blending in with everyone.
Yeah, it's like this is
but
this is
to
the
be
life
fair,
here.
you kind of are.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because it's not just like that here. Like in like I'm from Chicago, obviously. Getting drinks after work, like okay, let's just say you get out, you clock out 2 or 3. You know your train home isn't until 7.
Yeah.
You know they're about to go. Like that's a normal thing that I think is all the time. Here, I think you said it correctly, bros. You can blend in more. Like if you do have these issues, like you fly under the radar almost.
Yep.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
No.
So you're at the Link, and you know you make this move more recently, but so you make the choice to get sober while you're there, right?
Yeah, it was during COVID that my alcoholism got extremely bad. There's nothing else to fucking do. Like you're just in quarantine the whole time. So it's like, you know, you're
either drinking or fucking.
You're getting exactly. You're getting that unemployment. Like there's nothing else to fucking do. I was just getting wasted every single day, and you know, it was normal. You know, like I would like throw up, wake up, drink, throw up, wake up, drink, and that was just like my routine.
Yeah.
Once everything opened up again, I couldn't turn that off anymore. Like I almost like didn't know my limit anymore, and I had went through the this is my limit, that I know that once I pass this, like bad shit starts happening. And so that's when like I started like getting into some more trouble. Like the strip opened up. The very first night I go out by myself, and I just get extremely blasted. And like I wake up the next day and I have a gash like on my eyebrow, and like I'm just like super faded, and like my roommates are saying he's gonna need stitches. And I wake up and I'm like, who's gonna need stitches? They're like, you, look at your face. And I'm like dripping blood, and I don't remember anything. Like I have like
You're waking up in the morning and you...
This was me, yeah, waking up in the morning, and like I guess I was like bleeding, and I needed stitches or whatever. And they told me that I was like trying to fight people on the strip. And I remember little glimpses of me like fighting like 3 dudes, and like me kicking like one of the dude's knees, and then like he like fell to the ground, and then like is just like skips over to like me on the other side of the strip, yelling at people, trying to fight people. And my roommates are trying to get me in the car. I'm trying to fight them, and I guess I'm bleeding the entire time. And like when I wake up, I don't remember any of this. They actually just glue like my skin back together with like super glue.
Your friends?
Yeah. God.
I guess it's better than just. I mean, I don't know.
Like I always thought this shit was funny. Like I always thought that was like cool. Like I always thought like, fuck yeah, that's fucking funny, dude. I got another fucking like funny like drunk story. Like that was like my personality. Like if you knew me like back then, like you would be like shocked that I'm sober right now. You'd be like, Josh is sober. Like this motherfucker goes hard. Like he just drinks all the time. Like, you know, he's crazy motherfucker. And like now I'm sober. It's like, it's so mind boggling to like a lot of my friends back in Fresno.
So that night that you just explained, that was the turning point night. Like after that you decided?
The turning point was when I woke up in jail.
Okay.
Damn,
okay.
This was
after that. Yeah. So basically, like, I woke up in jail and I had no idea what happened. And I was like, well, obviously I did some shit. Like, I probably got in a fight, and who knows what the fuck I did. And I was like, you know what? Like, it's not going to be a big deal. I'll be out in like a couple days or whatever. But they never gave me like my charge paper. So like I had no idea what I was in there for. And everyone was asking me like, why are you in here? And I was like, I don't know. I'm still faded right now. I can't recollect anything. And it's actually funny. I actually saw the kid, the rapper Kid Boo. I don't know if you guys know him.
Get the fuck out of here.
Yeah.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I saw Kid Boo in there, and I was like, that guy looks like a fucking clone of Kid Boo.
Yeah.
And then like when I got a closer look,
clone, bro.
I was like, shit, that is Kid Boo. And I was like, what the fuck, yo, what's up? And I was like, you still got that flamethrower? He's like, hey, shut up. He was like, but
do you know who that is, bro?
No, I don't.
Bro, I'm sorry. He's so interesting, bro. He's this guy who like, you know Majin Buu, like from Dragon Ball Z?
Mm-mm.
Okay, well, we know what the fuck.
Yeah.
No, he's this peculiar guy, but he went on an interview, talked about he was cloned by some Canadian company, but anyways, if they don't know about it, it's funny.
Yeah.
Anyways, okay, so you dap up Kid Boo, you know?
Yeah. So I mean, so I just woke up in the cell, and I was just really confused, and it turned out that I had like a couple felonies and like some misdemeanors, and I was like freaking out because one, I didn't have my phone, and so I couldn't call anyone. I couldn't call into work and tell them what's going on. I couldn't call my roommates, let them know that I'm in jail, to grab my money and like basically bail me out. So I didn't know any, like, I mean, we live fucking, you know, in this time where you don't really memorize people's numbers too much. So it's like, I had no way of calling anyone, and that was just like really scary to me. And like I remember trying to call, like there was another kid in there who was calling his mom, and I told him, can you call my apartments and tell my roommates that I'm in jail right now? And I guess she never like told them, but I was just like, just freaking out because like I didn't know how long I was going to be in there. And there was like a rumor that I might be in there for like a year or so. So like
What? So no one's telling you anything? Like what's going
I
on?
finally got my charge paper, and then I saw I had like battery against like a police officer, and then like driving under the influence, just like a bunch of shit. And like I was just like,
Damn.
fuck, dude, I'm gonna lose my gaming license. And like my whole life is back to square one. Like I'm gonna lose my gaming license. I fucked up. Why did I do that? I'm gonna kill myself. Like I gotta stop fucking drinking and shit. And this was like the first time that I had tried to like pray to God and tell him like, look, man, like forgive me. Like I'm sorry. Like, you know what I did, like, please help me get out of here. And I feel like I did kind of get that message received by him, because like next thing you know, like a day later I get released. I'm going to get tried in like 6 months or so.
Jesus.
And I remember when I got out,
How long have you been there for?
I was in there for like about a week.
Okay.
Yeah. And my job was like freaking out because they were trying to figure out where I was at and stuff. Luckily, they didn't fire me, but they could have, because like we have a point system there, and I was way above the points, and they kind of let that slide. Even that wasn't even the turning point, but that was like a very
Really?
like, no, that was like a very like get your shit together soon, or
Yeah.
like you're gonna fuck up even more.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, no more drinking. And when I got home, finally, like, I still had a big ass bottle of Hennessy in my trunk that for some reason the cops didn't get rid of. I had like a handle of Hennessy, and I just had it in my room for like about a week or so. And I remember just staring at it and like, kind of like, that was like my God. And I knew that I had like, eventually I was going to surrender to it, but I couldn't throw it away, because I was like, I paid hella money for it. I paid like $100 for it. I can't let it go to waste. But slowly I started drinking again, because like I was just so anxious about my trial. And I was like just scared of like what might happen. I thought I was going to go to prison. And that was when I was like thinking, you know, maybe I have a problem. I still wasn't like sure yet. I was still like kind of like on that edge of where like, maybe I can just control it. Maybe I just need to slow down a little bit. And that was just like really hard. Like that was one of the moments where I realized like this needs to stop, because next time I might fucking kill someone, and not even I might wake up in jail and it's like I got fucking first-degree murder or some manslaughter shit like in my car. Like, and it's like whenever I got drunk, I always woke up and I never knew, like, I had to check, like, where's my wallet at? Okay, it's here. Are my keys here? Okay, my keys are here. Is my car good? All right, for sure. And then check my bank account. All right, most of my money's there. That's fine. You know, like, it was always like a ball in the air with all my shit.
Yeah.
And so I think that was when, like, I really, like, scared my mom and, like, my grandma. Like, they're like, you know, like, they're like, you have a problem. And I was just like telling them that, like, nah, I just fucked up. Like, you know, I just got
wild.
drunk.
That's what I was gonna ask you, bro. So during, you know, you're out here. Did you move out here by yourself?
Yeah, I moved out here by myself.
So besides your roommates, is it just like, do you have a like?
I don't know
nobody?
anyone out here besides just my roommates. No
So
family.
so you're going through all this. There's nobody, there's not an anchor that you're talking to kind of like ground you. Like none of that.
That's
No,
crazy.
no.
So if the whole, you know, waking up in jail moment, you know, didn't like flip the light switch on for you, what was the final straw? Like, if I was to ask you, you know, what was the day before you decided to go sober? Like, what happened that day?
Well, basically, me and my girlfriend at the time, I'm dating her now, but me and her were pretty much in the prime of our addiction. And one day, like, we went out to party. She knew I had a problem too, because every time we went out, she'd be like, "Hey, Josh, like, don't drink that much." And I'd be like, "I got it. I'm a grown man. I know how to fucking drink. Like, chill." And she was scared of me when I got drunk because I tended to get like very violent and aggressive, and she had recorded me when I was drunk, and I was just like being very physical with her and yelling at her and just being very abusive, like verbally and physically. And when she had showed me that video, it kind of really showed me the monster of what I become, like when I drink, you know, and it kind of really like showed me like you're living in denial. Like you like when you cause I black out a lot, but I can walk, I can fucking talk normal and everything. But like, I don't remember half the things. So like people would say like, oh, remember you getting in a fight with this dude, or you calling this guy a fucking bitch and this and that. Like I always thought it was funny and stuff, but I never really saw what it looked like from the other person's perspective, and like how much of a like asshole and like I really was. And so she basically was telling me like you need to go to you need to go get some help. And I went into this club, and basically this club pretty much is just all alcoholics, and we kind of all just support each other and kind of share very similar stories. And at first when I went in there, like I was really hesitant about it. But when I heard everyone's story, I was like, holy shit, that's me. Like,
wow.
Like, and that's what I love about this club is that like, I can tell them like, hey, I almost killed my friends in the car, and they won't even bat an eye.
Yep.
They totally understand.
Judgment free. Judgment free.
And like, I can't tell that to like my mom or like a best friend. They're going to be like they're not going to understand. And like, you know, even when like my mom would take me to a therapist, and like he'd be like, you know, your drinking is bad, or, you know, smoking weed is a gateway drug. Like in my eyes, it's like, what does he know about that? Like, he's just, you know, some guy that went through college and like whatnot. He doesn't know anything about like what I've gone through.
What's crazy to me is, you know, you had all these like situations, like all these blackouts, fights, jail, your friends, everyone telling you. But what really made you stop was the video. Talk us through a little bit from like that moment you realized you had an issue, you joined this club, you started working towards sobriety. You know, did you ever relapse? Or since that day you made the commitment, you know, have you been sober? And I think if you have been sober, since then, you know, talk us through a little bit, like how you've been dealing with that.
So I haven't drank in like 2 years. And so this was like, I think I started in November, where I joined the club and I realized I have a problem, and I stopped drinking. But I wasn't really working the club as they were saying. Like they wanted me to quit everything, and I told myself that I'm not going to quit weed because only alcohol is the problem. And eventually 3 months, 4 months later, I had justified the idea of selling cocaine so I could make money, but in reality, it was just all a scam to make myself get high off, to get cocaine so I can get high and make money off of it. But it was mostly just to get cocaine. And so while I was in this club, I was doing a shit ton of cocaine, like maybe 2 grams a day, probably like an 8-ball a day. Wow. And I was still counting my sobriety days, because coke to me back then was the sober drug. That's what you take to like wake you up. Yeah. And it wasn't until I actually got a sponsor, and basically what a sponsor is he's the person that kind of like guides you into sobriety, and he helps you work the to-do list. Because when you join this club, there's a to-do list, and there's about 12 of them that you do, and each one leads you to sobriety. And it's necessary to go through each step. If you leave one out, you're going to relapse. And if you don't do it thoroughly, you're going to relapse. And it's very important to like do these steps, because that's how you reach sobriety. If you really want it, you can reach sobriety through these steps.
That's awesome. That's awesome, man. Congrats.
Dude, that's awesome.
That's impressive. So now that you are, couple years sober, I think I'm curious on, as you become, sober and you're no longer using these substances, your mind starts to get a lot clearer. What were you doing as far as like, work? Was things going better at your job? You obviously now have, trap poker. Talk to us a little bit about, I guess, post sobriety and, what's going on with your life today, moving in the right direction. I think that's to me what's very interesting because trap poker obviously says it all. Gambling, which gambling itself is an addiction.
I wanna ask you about that. Yeah.
Love to dive into that.
So yeah, go ahead and then I'll ask one.
So I mean, addiction comes in a lot of forms. Gambling, one of the biggest ones. If anything, gambling is one of the most dangerous addictions. A lot of people kill themselves because they gamble away fortunes, their house, their car. It's actually a very scary thing, especially out here in Vegas. It's I've had a lot of times where I wanted to kill myself because of gambling. And a mixture of alcohol, like I'm surprised I didn't kill myself. There was times where I would literally sit at the top of the garage and contemplate jumping because I had lost all my money. So it's a very tricky situation because this can all be just an elaborate scheme as an addict to justify the gambling. But at the same time, I don't want to believe that because I feel like I'm at a way better like headspace, and I feel like what the club is teaching me is mostly balance and being comfortable in your own skin, being able to recognize defects, character defects, and one of the defects that I have is being delusional and lying to myself. And I think as long as I'm honest and I'm very careful on how I basically what I want to do with trap poker is make it a brand. I want to make it more than just like playing poker. Like I want to make it more, eventually I want to make it to where it's like a training site on how to play poker and how to make it a career, because unlike other gambling things like roulette and like blackjack and craps, poker, you can actually win. You can actually beat it because you're playing against other players. And as long as you play smart, you can actually make money off of it.
In this club, right? Your sponsor that's kind of guiding you through this stuff. Is he aware that you're, or is he aware that you're playing poker? And what's his reaction?
Yeah, he's actually he actually plays poker himself.
Gotcha.
And he actually has made a living off poker. So I feel like he understands that that I guess at least for me it's like okay. Also because I work in the casino industry, so I'm always going to be around gambling. And I think he knows that I know that blackjack and craps and like all the other games, like you're going to lose in the long run. And we both know that poker, you can actually win in the long run. So he's definitely okay with it. I don't think he would be okay with any other person besides me because of it. So yeah, it's very interesting because it's very unique to me because usually he would be very against it.
Yeah, this is something that I asked you before, where there's this term where it's like, you can transfer your addiction, right? So with something like this that falls under that category, is there a little bit of you that maybe fears that there's some, like you mentioned before, maybe you're putting this, which the brand that you're trying to build, which I think we've talked about it. I think
right.
I do see that because of the different things within poker that you can turn into content wise. But do you feel like maybe there is a little bit of a shield between, I don't want to say like an excuse, but there is, that you are putting something like, you know what I'm trying to say?
Yeah. You're just saying that. No, I actually don't.
Like, I don't know how to say it. Like, do you think that you are putting poker as an excuse because you work in that? to fuel maybe the little addiction bug that you have?
It's very possible, but I think I'm. It's interesting because when I first got sober, like it was a very dangerous thing to do because whenever I gambled and lost, it was like my first reaction is, well, I should go drink. So like those thoughts came, but now that I'm like a lot more stable, I feel like I'm more aware of where I'm at and I'm more responsible with my money and I'm not gambling my last penny. So I feel like that's where it's like a more healthier solution. Also, like when I go play, I'm making content and I'm eventually going to make money off of it. So I feel like it's just a way to also kind of like, how do I put it? It's kind of a way.
I think personally, whenever we spoke at the shop, I was like, because I did ask you that. I was curious, but I think, like I gave you different examples, right? Like, you can, besides, because when you go and you play, you're recording this, right? And then you make it into, different forms of content. I suggested like to make this into an overall poker brand, you can do, reaction stuff. Like you can venture out to different things that don't involve you sitting there and playing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I think that is where you can toe that line a little bit safer because at some point this can definitely supplement income. And now you're doing this with everything you're doing is making you money, essentially. Right.
So just so everyone can understand a little bit, we're talking about the content here around Trap Poker. What is Trap Poker?
Trap Poker is a brand where I'm trying to educate people and entertain people at the same time on just poker in general.
Got it.
I'm trying to also kind of build this brand into a merch. And also, I think eventually I want to make it a team and I want to recruit people to also make content for the brand and also kind of just promote it. And I kind of want to grow it and see how far it goes.
Got it.
Oh,
So when you say, do you, I'll be honest with you, Chewy just sent me your socials today. I haven't checked it out yet. But so do you film like yourself actually playing? Do you use like a GoPro or something or like what are you doing? And do casinos, isn't that like illegal or something or?
Yeah, they don't like it too much. But so when you're playing like blackjack, if you pull your phone out, they'll like tell you immediately to put it away. But when you're on the poker table, they're lenient on, they allow you to have your phone out and whatever, be, texting and doing whatnot. But some casinos are really strict when you start recording. Yeah. And other casinos are pretty lenient. They won't the most they'll do is like, they'll tell you to turn it off. And if they tell me to turn it off, I'll just like leave, go to a different casino. But for the most part, no one really says anything.
Yeah.
It's a pretty big industry, bro. Like it's a pretty big.
Yeah. So you're dealing. So you're a dealer at what casino now?
The Cromwell.
The Cromwell. Got it. Okay. So you're dealing there like so many nights a week, and then do you play poker so many nights a week too, or what's your schedule look like?
I pretty much live like a double life where like I go into work, I deal, and then sometimes right after work I go play poker because at 4 a.m. to like 8 in the morning, people are like hammered and like it's just like taking candy from a baby at that point.
Okay.
So I've heard that before too. Is that the like demon time, bro? Is the best time to come up on poker, bro?
Yeah.
Right. So obviously with you, you're around it all the time. It doesn't really mess with you at all, or?
In the very beginning, it did. Like I used to be very resentful towards people that drank. Like I'd be like, that guy's an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. He's an alcoholic. And that's not really a way to live. And I had to learn that, it's not my responsibility to judge them and you consider like, are they an alcoholic or not? Like it's up to them to figure it out for themselves. And for the most part, I feel like a lot of people in the casino aren't really alcoholics. And being around it it used to really bother me, like the smell of like tequila and like lime, and like when someone drops a lime into a Modelo and it fizzes up, like that used to bother me so much. Like it used to like, I used to like crave it, like, and I would like have to like turn away and stuff, and like I don't know why, like my sense of smell for alcohol just got heightened like when I got sober. And before, like, it used to kind of like stink, but afterwards it was just like it like almost like amped me up. And now the obsession is gone. So like I can be around it. Like maybe about a week or two ago, like I went with some coworkers to the bar. They were drinking, and then they invited me. They're like, "Do you want to drink?" And I was like, "I'm good." And then one of them was like, "Oh, he doesn't drink." And like I'm not embarrassed at all about it. Like they're like cool about it, and yeah, I can be around it like without really craving it. I mean, there are days where like I think about it, but it's not like overwhelming me, you know?
Yeah.
So one thing you said, this was a while ago now, but it's got me curious. So you've been sober now for a couple years. You said something about your girl. Is she sober with you?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah. So she just hit like 1 year.
Okay.
The 1 year mark recently.
That's awesome.
Congrats.
So how did, if you don't mind me asking, like, how did that come about? Did she just see like you change your lifestyle and like you start to become like this better person, and she decided to join too, or?
Yeah, honestly, like I never once told her like, "Hey, you need to go into this club. Like you have a problem." I never once told her like anything like that. She actually decided on her own, because I think that she saw the results.
Yeah.
She really saw me changing, and like so.
Oh, so you were in first.
I was in first.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it was funny because she actually took me to my first meeting, and at the club, like I shared my story, and then we all went around the room, everyone sharing stories, and they look at her, and they're like, "So what's your story?" And she was like, "Oh, well, I'm just in here because of him." And they kind of looked at her like, sure. And it was interesting because like that was like, that was like me too. Like if I was in her position, I would have been like, I'm not like you alcoholics. Like I just drink like on the weekends, and like I get fucked up here and there, but I'm not an alcoholic. Like I never like actually fucked up my life, And so yeah, she did it all on herself, and I'm very proud of her.
Yeah, it's awesome. And that's just that shows a lot. Not only about your guys' relationship and her dedication to it, but I think it also shows, how much she cared about you as a person. I could imagine how probably toxic your guys' relationship was, and things probably were not good. Seeing you, going out and blacking out every time you drink, and obviously fighting and all this shit that goes along with it. So, shout out to you. Sounds like you got yourself a ride or die.
That's awesome, bro. That's cool.
So
I'm curious, bro. How many people? And I wonder if they tell you this in the club. How many people do you think low key struggle with this, but are in that denial phase, or are in that I just like to drink on the weekends, or like how much of, I guess, what do you think? Especially like our age, because we're young.
I think a lot of people are actually more likely to be addicted than they realize. I have a friend, he lives out here in Vegas, that reached out to me a while back, and he was like, "Yo, like I just crashed my car." Like he just bought a Beamer, he paid it cash, like it was like $30K or something, and he totaled it, and he's like, "You know what? I'm done drinking. Like I see you doing good. You're sober now. Like help me out." And I was like, "For sure, bro. Like I'll take you to one of these meetings. We'll get you sober." And he's like, "All right, but it's gonna be after 4th of July because I have a trip planned." And I was like, "This dude does not want to get sober." Because that's how I was too. Like I always made up excuses and stuff, and it's no shame to him, because like I don't know if he's actually addicted or not. Like it's up to him to really like, to realize it, if he is or not. And so I feel like a lot more people are addicted than they realize.
Yeah. What advice would you give somebody who's maybe watching or might know somebody who, they do feel like that? Like, what would be the next step for them if they do feel like they have something going on?
I think that this club is the way to go. Like, I feel like this was the only way that I had realized. I feel like the structure that they have is just like really eye opening, and especially even just going in there and hearing the stories, you might find something that, you know, resonates with you.
So I love the fact that you're sober today because of you taking the initiative, you know, having that self-awareness and like going and joining the club. And the reason why I say that is, you know, my dad, for example, he went to rehab, I believe the first time when I was 18. He went to rehab the second time, I believe, when I was like 25, like 26. So, and you know, there's probably people that are going to disagree with me here, but, you know, unless you check yourself into rehab, a lot of people end up in rehab because they get quote unquote thrown, thrown in rehab. And I think what it really comes down to is for you to make a change in your life and choosing sobriety, you have to want it, you know, yourself. And I think that's the moral of the story here, is like you personally want it. And I think it's a whole nother level of wanting it when you did it the way you did. Yeah. And the reason why I say that is because you can go to a meeting, you walk out, and you can go to the store and grab a 12-pack. Rehab, it's like you're like forced to be in there, like you're drying out, like you're going through withdrawals. Even if you want to drink, you can't. There's no alcohol, whatever. So I think it's a whole nother level to do it on the way you did. And like, I'll be honest, I know so many people that have done like the whole rehab route, and it didn't work, you know. I've different, feelings on it because, you know, when my dad went to it, like, I don't feel rehab actually taught him a lot of great things. I believe rehab actually taught him that it was rehab told him a bunch of reasons why he did what he was doing and why he was living the lifestyle that he was, instead of him like truthfully like accepting and owning that like he messed up. You know, and sometimes I feel a lot of therapists therapists and all these rehab places, they're like, you did this because of this.
Bro, he hates that.
You did this because of this.
Well, like, yeah, no, because like my friend that I was talking about, he went to a therapist and she had told him, you need to drink in moderation. And that kind of was like, yeah, I've tried to drink in moderation. It's like all or nothing for me. And I know that's the same way he is too. Yep. And I kind of didn't like that she told him that, because one day he's gonna kill someone. Yeah. You know, he's gonna drive drunk and he's gonna kill someone. And I really hope that doesn't happen, you know? Yeah. I really pray that he does eventually, you know, get some help and go to this club.
We bring you back on the podcast in 2 years from now. What is Josh Trap Poker? Is he living in Vegas? What does the future hold?
There's lots of possibilities when you have sobriety. When you don't have that, it's all your goals, your ambitions, you'll never be able to reach them. So that's the biggest thing. I have unlimited possibilities. I could be in Cancun. I could be in fucking Europe or something. Like, who knows what the future holds? All I know is it's going to be very positive.
I love that. I love awesome, that. Bro. Any set plans? Anything you have a dream location like to be at, or like any like business, financial, marriage, anything like that, goals like that in the future?
For that, like, I see myself living in Vegas for a while. This is where I want to be at. I see my channel growing. You know, I hope to at least be like 5,000 or more by then.
In 2 years, what should be 100,000, bro?
5,000 subs.
Yeah, 5,000. Well, I've been asking advice from over here, but my man's got some videos popping, bro. Yep. You should be real proud of yourself, bro. You should be, you should be happy with, I mean, I'm sure you are, but like, everything that you're doing, that you've done, bro, I think it's amazing, right? And the future is, I think, is the world is in your hands, bro.
Love it.
And yeah, bro, Trap Poker, go check him out. Go get some merch, bro. Look at his clean ass hoodie.
Yeah. So Trap Poker, we'll throw all your socials in the bio so people can check you out. And yeah, I look forward to seeing where see where you're at in a couple years from now. So congrats on a 17 months sober, man.
Thank you guys so much, bro. We'll see you on the next one.
Thank you.
Peace.
That was cool.
Yeah.
That was cool.
Yeah.